Y'all did the civil rights victory dance. There was no victory. There was movement. There was improvement. We cannot deny that. Our ancestors fought. Blood, sweat, and tears. The job's not over. And y'all went a good couple decades talking about what they did. And now we got to get back out and keep it moving. Black women. Let's talk about it. What's up, Steelies? Welcome back. I think it's obviously past time to have a specific conversation about that. And we see a lot of pushback from pro-Black, I call them pro-Whack individuals, male and female, who think that Black Lives Matter is exclusive to Black men and Black men's issues. I'm a Black woman who runs my own life. I don't have very many Black male family members. I don't have a Black man that I answer to, that I look up to, or anything like that. So I'd like to hear specificity on women's issues because I'm a woman. And so we've seen for years a lot of pushback from pro-Black individuals who believe that we need to take care of the men and that the women can get crumbs from that. And, I don't follow any individual like that. And I think that individuals like that they don't need to be acknowledged or followed because that's ridiculous. We have to continue saying all Black lives matter. All Black lives matter. Black women, Black men, Black children, trans Black people, LGBTQ Black people, nerdy Black people, we matter. All Black lives matter. I can't get with the idea that anyone is more important. If anything, this is just a cultural belief. I feel like women and children should always be protected. So we've seen messages from Black men saying, you're not my sister, you're not my mom, you're not my daughter, which is hilarious to me because I'm a Black man's daughter. I'm Black men's sister, and they don't give a fuck about me. So I couldn't imagine them helping another Black woman. I couldn't imagine those individuals helping a dark-skinned Black woman, an unambiguous Black woman, any Black woman, because they wouldn't even want to help and protect and keep me safe. That's not a priority. And they would say, if you're not one of the people closest to me, I don't have to protect you. But there's this bullying pressure that as a Black woman, you have to stand up for all of Black men's lives, of stranger Black men's lives. And there's no reciprocity there. I've seen more Black men yesterday in response to Black women calling out the abuse that they face as women in the Black community, stand up and say, you know what, we as men need to do better, than I have seen in all of my collected social media years of experience combined. Yeah, you see it, but it'd be one post a day kind of ish. It would be when a movie drops kind of ish. It would be when I want you to go out and buy this or that kind of ish. When the album drop kind of ish. It wouldn't be just to say, hey, we are here for you and we're protecting you. And you don't get the numbers of domestic violence and mortality that you see in the Black community if, as a collective, the men are being protectors, the way that as a collective, other groups of men protect their women. And I'm gonna tell you how I always tell you, that's fine, but then don't expect anything back in return. I'm on reciprocity all day. And Malcolm X is, to me, the greatest man that ever lived. That's just how I feel. And the reason why is because not only did he protect and provide for his beautiful, unambiguous Black wife and daughters, but he died at the hands of another Black man because he was trying to protect Black women from being taken advantage of and abused. If that's literally why they took him out, because he was holding individuals accountable and he was exposing secrets, which is what all good men should do. But y'all saw Malcolm do that, and then everybody just went and ran the other way. You could have imitated Malcolm, but instead you imitated hip-hop gangster culture. Shit that's not even real. Some niggas wasn't living like that. That doesn't have to be what the hood is always about. Toxic masculinity. That's a huge part of what is destroying the hood. Yeah, you have to acknowledge white supremacy, and you also have to acknowledge the toxic masculinity. Have to. Once you acknowledge the toxic masculinity, then you can get to, oh, well, they had babies. Okay, with toxic male individuals. If they were having babies with good men, then outcomes would be different, right? So it's too many toxic men over the good ones. And that's got to change, because you're no longer going to be supported where you don't support. And that's across the board. I think that Black Americans have made that clear with our stance about who we are looking for and what we are looking for in this next upcoming election, which is a Black agenda, which is some guarantees for Black people. Juneteenth is coming up on Friday. And my thing is, you want to play like, okay, well, we can't determine from slavery, but you can determine from Juneteenth. Cities are starting to recognize Juneteenth and are giving that as a national holiday, right? That's further acknowledgement of what's happened. You don't make something a national holiday if you haven't been egregious, if there's not a crime to atone for, right? So that's further acknowledgement that there is a debt to be paid for the deliberate oppression, brutality, and violence, and systematic racism that Black people have had to endure for generations in this country. All right, let's get back to the toxic masculinity. That's never something that I could tolerate, and that's one of the reasons I move the way that I move. I cannot tolerate that at all. Looking through my phone, breaking my phone, you ain't doing that shit to me. We saw a video of a young girl being thrown into a dumpster. That's the message y'all want to send to America, that's how y'all do y'all women? And then you got dudes in the comments defending it, talking about something, oh, it could have happened to anybody. That's your problem, is that y'all would do that to anybody. That is your problem. And the good ones sitting over there, I wouldn't do it to Becky. So again, we're starting to see more and more that people aren't tolerating giving and not getting in return, because it don't make sense. So then we get to, I think the toxic masculinity needs to be called out on some Malcolm X-ish. Y'all need to find the courage of Malcolm and start holding these dudes accountable. There are fates worse than death. Mortal Kombat. That's where that line is from. There are fates worse than death. And I think that Black Americans can see that at this point. We're starting to acknowledge that Black people are and have always been treated like second-class citizens. And we're finally talking about this now. How many years after the Civil Rights Movement? Y'all act like it's called the Civil Rights Victory. It was a movement. Y'all should have kept moving. Y'all did the Civil Rights Victory dance. There was no victory. There was movement. There was improvement. We cannot deny that. Our ancestors fought. Blood, sweat, and tears. The job's not over. And y'all went a good couple decades talking about what they did. And now we got to get back out and keep it moving. My deadbeat daddy there should be pictures of his ass in the street doing this work so that I don't have to. But he didn't want to do it. He wanted to play a victim. He wanted to be a victim. You're not a victim, bruh. I don't get to play a victim. I have to get up and keep fighting for what the man is doing to me. You get your ass up. Definitely in calling a lot of this toxic masculinity within the Black community out. Black women have acknowledged, it seems like you have to look a certain way if you are a Black woman and you want some protection. It's usually light, bright women that they are more prone to protect, go hard for. And I know that I certainly witnessed that in my own experience. I feel like colorism is a big factor in how I'm treated with my estranged family members, and that's why they can stay estranged. I'm gonna keep talking shit about y'all. I kept telling y'all that. So was told by the estranged brother, you're making up colorism. And it's like a man with a white woman telling his only dark-skinned, unambiguous Black sister, who also is one of the only people who's ever done anything for his ass, that I'm making up colorism when I'm speaking my truth. That's garbage. That's garbage. That's what I'm calling it out. Certainly I can relate to the if you don't look a certain way. You basically have to have a connection with them, whether it's your family member or you have to at least have had sexual interaction with or be willing to give sexual interaction with. If they think you're just some chick that they can't ever hook up with, they have no desire to help you if you're not related to them. That's just been my experience, where I've literally seen Black men go out of their way to help other non-Black women in mass, help them move, help them with jobs. I mean, we see it all the time. Black men are constantly elevating non-Black women over Black women. A lot of times it's Black men with a little bit of cash, We'll call them the 49ers, right? The ones that make 40,000, 49,000 plus, right? The 49ers. They're often elevating non-Black women in Black spaces and leaving you to just, feel like shit. That's not something I accept, because I know that Black women are not elevated in white spaces. So I'm not going to let you come into my space and do that. And that's why a lot of Black men don't want to be around me. And that's fine, because it's not going to happen. And now go run tell that. I had an experience when Bree Newsom took down the Confederate flag 5 years ago, former acquaintance, because I don't have patience. Everybody can be former, as far as I'm concerned. I don't care. They're not a part of my life. You see, I still got a roof over my head. Snip, snip. Snip, snip, snip. This former acquaintance, when Bree Newsom Bass took down the Confederate flag 5 years ago, going on 5 years ago, I said, it's a shame that once again, a Black woman had to get it done, right? It took a Black woman to get it done. And this former Black male acquaintance said, well, if a Black man did it, he could have been murdered. Are you kidding me? Are Black women immortal? What do you mean? Something could have happened to her. That's the risks that you have to take when you're trying to be free and liberated. You gotta take risks. Their fate's worse than death. Y'all need to start understanding that more when it comes to your liberty and your equality as a man, instead of deflecting your feeling of failure onto Black women. I'm gonna say that. Now, defunding the police. I'm not an abolitionist. Sorry, I'm not an abolitionist. I'm not. I believe that the police should be defunded because they can operate the same way that most police officers operate in other first world countries, which is not carrying around a massive amount of weapons that make it very easy for them to kill people. Those resources where they are giving cops massive amounts of money to spend on every gizmo and gadget they want to have. They've got fucking TV movie crews following them around like they're superstars. It doesn't look like the job is that difficult for a lot of them. That's supposed to be a difficult job, no? It's like a firefighter, like you have to pass the test. Firefighter has a very difficult job. EMT worker has a very difficult job. These are first responders, and their jobs are difficult. And they don't walk around with weapons that they can kill somebody for looking at them wrong, or because they're bored and they know they can get away with it because of their unions. You understand? So I absolutely believe that a defunding needs to take place so that they can allocate those resources where they need to be, where they belong, which is in Black schools, Black homes, Black communities. But they need to be there so that when they fuck up, they can go where thugs go. That's what the prison needs to be there for. And I don't want to live in a world where killer cops are taking community service. So I don't know much about the abolition work. If you're an abolitionist, feel free to leave a comment. I don't know much about it because I'm not interested in it, because that's not what I'm working on. I'm estranged from my family because lack of accountability, the way that toxic cultural norms are perpetuated, the lack of introspection. I've given myself distance from that. I'm thankful to be in a place today because I worked very hard growing up in these toxic environments, seeing all the toxicity and knowing that I deserve better. I worked very hard so that my adulthood looked nothing like my childhood. And I'm still struggling with that. It's not easy dealing with a lot of the trauma, bad memories, all of that. But I don't have to constantly feel like if I walk my dog late at night, someone's gonna toss me into a dumpster or an ice cream machine. Don't you have something to build? You have something to build. What are you picking up humans for? Pick up a shovel and get to work. We need to keep fighting for Black women and children. We need to keep fighting for these Black women who have been taken away too soon by unnecessary violence. And we need to stay focused. This is not something that you can drop and say, hey, we marched for a day or two. We marched for a week or two. This is a lifelong journey. When you're an oppressed person, that onus is on you. Nobody has ever gotten liberty by asking for it. Uplift the voices that are doing that work, not just the same old crazy, raggedy voices. You guys know how I move, so you know what I've done. I've been honest about the moves that I've made so that I can be in the safest position for myself possible. That's what you need to be focusing on. And there's no instant gratification in that. I haven't had a life of instant gratification. I'm still waiting. I'm optimistic that when you move righteously, good things will come your way. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.